Hello everyone, and many thanks for joining today's stream. Second news update for day, although first live stream. First update was on my Patreon and Boosty this morning. As you know, I'm publishing, if there is no technical issues, I'm publishing first updates early in the morning on my Patreon and Boosty pages. And in case you like my work and want to support and also want to have some extra content from me, join our community on Patreon and or Boosty if you can, dear friends. Links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And well, it is 13th of July, 3 p.m. Moscow time, Monday. And as always, I have bookmarked quite a number of news on some major developments. And hopefully you will find this episode informative and useful, although I can see there is some issues with the internet. On other notebook, and I don't know, am I online or not? Hopefully I am, man. Hopefully I am. And so, okay. It's okay. Okay, Anna is telling me that I'm online. So, okay, I will go through some news, dear friends. I hope you have your cup of tea next to you or cup of coffee, because it's gonna be relatively long update, as this case quite often, because there is a lot of news that I will go through during this program. And without further delay, let's start. Although before, let me just highlight that you can initiate conversation about any topic you like. You can use the super chat feature on Rumble to send your question or commentary that I will highlight after new segment, or you can use Boosty and PayPal for that if you want to. All the links under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And let's go through some news now, and I will start with some positive stuff. TASS news agency is reporting that Russian Armed Forces conducted yet another long-range precision strike on military, logistical, and also energy infrastructure of the Kiev regime, this Western-backed terrorist regime in Ukraine. Energy infrastructure that is related to military activity of Kiev regime, obviously, and the main direction of attacks was again Chernomorsk city's portal area in Odessa region. And we have this report on this matter that Russian armed forces have struck two maritime ferries and container vessel in the port of Chernomorsk, which were transporting cargo for the Kiev regime's armed forces, according to Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation. In addition, fuel storage tanks, pumping station, warehouse containing munition and missiles were also hit. Among targets were a Project 416 Shostka collector vessel and a floating dry dock for storing and launching autonomous underwater vehicles too. So there was a relatively large-scale strike on Chernomorsk direction. You can see on your screen right now some aftermath of these attacks. Thick smoke is coming out of one of the areas that was struck. And if you are interested where geographically this Chernomorsk city is located, then it's in Odessa region, right? And this is the Chernomorsk, relatively big city, by the way. And well, this is a portal area, of course. And their industrial area, a lot of places where the regime can keep some vessels that are used for drone launches, for delivery of all sorts of weapons and stuff. And so that's good. That's good that Russian militaries take out some legit targets in Odessa region, and there was strikes on some other areas, also on some energy infrastructure, and also in Odessa city area itself. On your screen, you can see aftermath of that attacker. Also, dear friends, we have this update. We have this update that fuel depot was struck in the Krivoy Rog, Dnipropetrovsk region. You can see massive fire on the screen on this screenshot. So there was successful strike, I guess, on that. Russian militaries are intensifying long-range missile, drone, and also airstrikes with their Su-34 frontline bombers being deployed on points of location of Kiev regime's troops, NATO mercenaries, and also other legit targets in Kramatorsk and Slavyansk cities and their surrounding areas in the DPR. And you know, dear friends, Russian troops are getting closer and closer to both to Slavyansk city and to Kramatorsk city. Forward units of the Russian militaries are about like 5, 7, up to 10 kilometers away from this city. From different directions, of course, Russian troops are advancing through different areas. So from 5 to 10 kilometers, that's all it is before forward units of the Russian Armed Forces will enter these cities, and the Russian DRGs already are operating there, inside the cities and outside those cities. And you can, if you are subscribed to my Patreon page, sorry, to my Patreon too, by the way, but to my Telegram channel and Twitter X page, probably you have seen videos that I published when Russian DRGs, for example, are deploying short-range FPV drones to eliminate certain targets inside these cities. So DRGs are operating there already. Also, we have this report that exactly about advance of Russian troops in Slavyansk direction, for example. Russian armed forces have improved their positions near the Svetogorsk and the Raya Alexandrovka Heights. DPR head Denis Pushilin reported, our units, this is quote, our units' positions have also improved in Svetogorsk area. Further on in the Slavyansk direction, we see improvements in our positions in Raya Alexandrovka Heights area. Also, our units are advancing. Pushilin said the head of DPR noted that improvements of positions and advancement of the Russian armed forces in the area of the city of Balitska and the village of Shevchenko near the Brapolia. According to Pushilin, the advance of Russian units is also being recorded in the Orekhovatka area in the Slavyansk direction and village of Alexeyev Drushkovka. Okay, good. Some good news there, some positive news. You know, dear friends, Russian troops are holding initiative all along the front line, right? And on daily basis, Russian militaries are improving their positions. Only area where there is a sort of operational pause now is Kherson direction because of the Dnieper River, basically. Sites are shelling each other with artillery, with long-range means, but none of the sites are conducting like landing operations through the Dnieper River, right? And another area where we can say some sort of operational pause has been established lately, is the most western flank of Zaporozhye sector, where Kiev regime for past 2-3 months was conducting this constant suicidal offensive operations to infiltrate territories that was controlled by Russian forces, mainly around Stepnogorsk and inside Stepnogorsk, and to move further, but they were unable to move any further. When it comes to Stepnogorsk and surrounding areas, yes, Kiev regime did manage to infiltrate these areas, Stepnogorsk city and surrounding a couple of villages. They have a relatively strong presence there, but they cannot claim that they are in full control because Russian militaries are still operating in this area, and that's why it's all in a gray zone. And God knows how many troops they lost while basically conducting these suicidal operations and achieving quite literally nothing. nothing, right? They just lost a lot of their troops, and they run out of steam now. Looks like, and I guess it's a matter of decision-making process in Russian general staff when they will tell Russian groups in this direction to reclaim all the territories that are in the gray zone now, right? So as of now, operational pause, we can call it that, I guess. There, the rest of the front line, which is 1,000 freaking kilometers, by the way, right, is under the Russian initiative. And Russian troops are advancing everywhere, improving positions everywhere. It might be a slow process, and it is, by the way, but this is a high intensity conflict, right? This is not a movie. This is real life, real battle. So things are done in a way that, I am not familiar and you are not familiar if you are not military, because all we know about military stuff is from freaking movies, right? And that means we know nothing. So that's how it is. Initiative is definitely in Russian hands. Now, when it comes to negative news, and unfortunately there is a lot of negative news also that definitely needs to be paid, demands and deserves our attention, because we have to face the reality, right? And well, let's start with this report about work of Russian air defense forces past night. I guess around 400 drones were launched by Kyiv regime, and 342 drones were intercepted by Russian air defense forces over there. Volgograd, Vladimir, Belgorod, Bryansk, Kaluga, Kursk, Lipetsk, Oryol, Rostov, Ryazan, Tula regions of the Moscow region, Krasnodar Krai, Republic of Crimea, Republic of Adygea, and over there waters of Azov and the Black Sea. Large scale, yet another basically large scale long range attack on Russian territory orchestrated by NATO member states. And unfortunately, there were casualties, which is happening on daily basis now due to these long range attacks. Casualties among civilians. We have this report that in the Belgorod region, one civilian was killed as a result of this terrorist activity of Kyiv regime and its NATO backers. Also, 4 people were killed, by the way, in Energodar city in Zaporozhye region. And Energodar houses basically a nuclear power plant, Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. It's right there, right next to city itself. So this is Energodar, the friends, that you can see on your screen right now. And right next to city, Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. Right, Energodar itself is a city of people that works in Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, basically, right? People of energy. And unfortunately, there is a constant attacks on Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, on Energodar city itself, and in past 12 to 24 hours. 4 civilians were killed as a result of this terrorist activity of Kyiv regime and its NATO backers too. Also, we have this report that there was a drone attack on oil depot in Michalovsk, Stavropol region, and you can see on your screen aftermath of these drone attacks, massive fire, and probably some significant damage was done to this oil refinery. And one of the main directions of attacks of Kyiv regime past 24 hours was Moscow, dear friends. And all the drones were intercepted over the Moscow region. And Mayor of Moscow, Sergei Sobyanin, shared with the public information that since 8:30 last evening, p.m., by the way, right? Since 8:30 p.m. last evening until this morning, 350 drones were intercepted over the Moscow region, drones that were targeting capital but never reached because of the air defense forces. And 50 drones, at least 50 drones out of this 350 came close enough to Moscow, right, and were intercepted practically on the edge of Russian capital. Some reports say 80 drones, say more than 80 drones were intercepted right on the edge of Moscow, but mayor of Moscow said around 50. So either way, none of their drones from these hundreds that were launched towards Moscow did manage to enter their city itself, right? City's airspace. When it comes to Russian capital. But unfortunately, there are casualties, there are significant damage and destruction, and tragically, there are casualties in the Moscow region among civilians. In Istria area, we have this report that 3 people were killed in Istria, Moscow region, and 5 more injured in a drone attack in the Moscow region. Governor Andrei Vorobyov reported on his Max platform, and I can show you video, dear friends, of these consequences of this attack. Practically entire street was decimated, right? Not just one building, but many buildings. Practically entire street was decimated. Criminal case has been opened following a massive terrorist attack by Ukrainian armed forces in the Moscow region. Investigative committee reported about it. Elderly woman is being sought after. I mean, she's lost now in Istram area after Ukrainian drone attacks. Preliminary reports indicate that she might be under the rubble of these destroyed buildings. This is the area where, according to governor, 3 civilians were also killed, many more injured, and I can show you a video, dear friends. There is no military installations there, right? It was not just one drone, but simultaneously several drones struck this civilian street for whatever reason. That's a Palantir software, by the way, for you. Software was triggered, God knows by what, right? Maybe some glitch in the program, and because those drones that are launched by NATO member states and their Ukrainian proxies to strike deep into Russia mostly are guided by these AIs, right? And according to Stanislav Krapivnik, by the way, a military expert, public figure, commentator on internet, these Palantir drones, these Western drones, by the way, are operating in a way that first, as long as battery or fuel in these drones are around 80%, right? While before 80% it will be used, AI is focused to find some military targets. But if fuel or the battery capacity is less than that, drops below 20%, then anything goes, right? And these drones are literally diving down and striking anything, bus, civilian car, home, anything, right? That's what is going on, and this might explain why this street was targeted by so many drones. Makes no sense. Literally, there is no military installations there, no nothing. Just civilian buildings, civilian areas, and you can see on your screen right now level of destruction, dear friends. Some buildings completely destroyed, others severely damaged. You know. That's what they do. That's what they do. That's what our enemies are, by the way. This is clearly intentional. This was not just one drone that exploded and decimated the entire street. It was several drones went in and eliminated this entire square, killing civilians, killing and injuring civilians. let's continue with some other news, by the way. And there are reports about drones targeting also high-rise apartment building, multi-store building in Solnichnogorsk, which is also Moscow region, and there are also videos and photo materials about these attacks. Another crime, and if you think that was too bad, very bad, and it is very bad, of course, then unfortunately there are more negative news. Kiev regime, according to many sources, and Kirill Fyodorov на История оружия Telegram channel, which is a pro-Russian Telegram channel, patriotic Telegram channel, is reporting again that, well, according to sources, according to claims by Kyiv regime, and they are providing some video materials as a confirmation, another 15 vessels was struck in the Azov Sea past night. That is 7 tankers, 5 cargo ships, 2 tugboats, and another ferry in Crimea. And I can read for you what this channel, this pro-Russian patriotic channel, is saying about this. Unmanned boats with air defense systems, channel is asking, interceptor drones, channel is asking, or perhaps ships from the Black Sea Fleet. It's not our choice. This is irony, by the way. In Russian, if you read in original, this is originally in Russian, obviously published in Russian. This is irony. And the channel is saying that, well, we don't need no protection for these vessels, no air defenses, no Black Sea Fleet to protect their navigation. No, this is not our choice. We do it differently, right? And their channel continues to say, it seems this problem, when numerous number of commercial vessels being struck and damaged, in many cases destroyed, it seems this problem will only be addressed in a few months when there are no more intact ships left. So you get the irony, isn't it, of this big channel, by the way, too, on internet, very big channel on Telegram, about 500,000 subscribers, patriotic channel. So people are frustrated, man. Frustration is rising. Questions being asked about strategy or tactics or plans that Kremlin might have or might not, about everything that is happening, in regards to everything that is happening, and we have no answers from the Kremlin, right? I guess neither Russian president, neither his team thinks society deserves to have answers. You know, they are in different world. In their world, everything is fine, looks like, right? In world in which they live, everything is good. Looks like, yet again, I mean, just speculating. And by the way, when it comes to these long-range attacks, even though past night there was no attacks on the Leningrad region or St. Petersburg city that are quite often targeted, and always, literally always, when this happens, these drones are coming from neighboring either Latvia or Estonia or Finland. And Peskov, press spokesman of the Russian president, was asked about it, and I want to give you a reaction of his. And you tell me, dear friends, if me, you, and him, Peskov, and potentially his boss, president of Russia, are in the same world or in the same freaking universe, right? Let me just go through this report. Russia will not prove that Ukraine is using Baltic airspace for its drone flights. The Russian armed forces can see what's flying and where it's coming from. This was stated by Dmitry Peskov, press secretary of the Russian president. Let me give you a bigger quote here. Our military, our special services, they see what's coming from where and how it's flying. This is well known, and we are not trying to prove anything to anyone. We are closely monitoring the sources of threats to our border regions and deeper territories Kremlin spokesman said, responding to a question about the use of Baltic airspace for Ukrainian drone flights. Therefore, we all know this perfectly well. No one should have any doubts, he added. That's all he's saying, man. That's our entire comment. We all know what's up. No one should have any doubts that we know. Okay, and so no one has no doubts that you know that NATO countries are striking Russia and killing Russian people. We know it, you know it, everybody knows this, right? But you, being the press secretary of Russian president, being asked to comment on this matter so that media will then transfer your response to a public that wants to understand, is Putin is intending to do something about it? That's the question, right? And what Peskov is telling the people, well, we know what's up. I mean, seriously? Really? Okay, then. Good. Good, man. It is becoming impossible, by the way, to comment, to take seriously these elements, right? Either Peskov or Putin or anybody from his inner circle, right? I personally cannot take them seriously, right? I have no respect for them, zero respect, zero trust, but that's me. But many people out there, by the way, are also pretty much pissed off, right? And with such comments, one might only think that these bureaucrats are just taking a piece on people, right? And they are just trolling people. That's how much they don't care. But they're just now trolling people like that. That, don't worry, we know. Who cares what you know or you don't? What you are going to do about the threats that people are facing. That's what you've been asked. Total disgrace, by the way. Never like this guy, Peskov, total disgracer, scumbag, a scum of humanity, obviously, right? And I will say the same about everybody there. Literally, right? I have zero respect to anybody in the Putin's inner circle. And that includes Putin, obviously, also, right? Zero trust, zero respect. And I think I have said everything in terms of my personal takes on Putin and his team, his connections, and everything, right, in my previous updates. No point to repeat, but I will just repeat, if I may, that history gonna be very tough, man, on all of them, man. Right? History gonna be very tough for them. But for now, they think they are on top of the game, man. They don't care. People being killed on a daily basis, and this guy is coming out and saying that we know, militaries know, they know. You've been asked what Kremlin is going to do about these threats, these attacks. But I guess they think people does not deserve no answers. Anyways, you can have your own take, by the way, your own opinion, of course, sir. You might agree with me or disagree. But I personally think Russian leadership is failing Russian people big time during this war. Big time. If Stalin was in charge, they all will be executed. I'm quite sure about it. All of them would be executed or will be executed if it was Stalin's times, right? Anyways, let's continue. Executed for treason. Let's make it clear. TASS news agency is also reporting that, according to media, Germany plans to transfer to the regime or to finance a transfer of 50,000 more attack drones. Germany is among leading countries when it comes to financing and providing weapons against Russia, financing this war and stuff. And we have this report now that they're going to allocate additional dozens and dozens of millions, 90 million euro to be more precise, for 50,000 attack drones that will be transferred to Kiev regime. And well, why would not they? Isn't it? German leadership, which is mostly descendants of Nazi Germans, right? I mean, sons and grandsons of these fascists that were killing millions and millions of Soviet people, right? So they want revenge, and now they have because Putin is Russian president, they have a unique opportunity to kill as many Russians and destroy anything they want in Russia with total impunity, because that's what is happening until now, right? Putin has no intention, looks like, to restore the deterrent with the collective West. So, of course, Western ruling class will continue financing this war further, sending weapons, killing more Russians, destroying more infrastructure on Russian territory. And it is anybody's guess how long this is going to continue, and what is going to be end, man, because I don't know. I just don't. And you might ask her, I mean, 50,000 drones, that's quite a lot. How many drones are used in this war, right? And the answer is lot. We have this report that since the beginning of special military operation, Russian armed forces intercepted more than 180,000 drones. So it's literally count is in hundreds of thousands when it comes to level of drone deployment on the battlefield and against each other, right? Let me give you details on that. So Russian air defense systems have destroyed approximately 180,000 Ukrainian/NATO drones since the start of special military operation. Russian Defense Ministry reported in total, since the beginning of special military operation, the following have been destroyed: 673 aircraft, 284 helicopters, 180,451 drones, 665 anti-aircraft missiles, about 30,000, or to be more precise, 30,143 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 1,757 multiple launch rocket systems, 35,747 field artillery pieces and mortars, and 66,376 units of special military vehicles. I guess that's transport vehicles, some civilian vehicles that are transformed into military vehicle, something like that. A lot of numbers there, and 180,000 drones were intercepted since the beginning of the special military operation. If you add how many drones were not intercepted because they managed to bypass air defense forces, also if you add number of drones that Russian militaries used, then overall we are talking about hundreds and hundreds of thousands of drones. So don't be surprised to hear this number that Germany, mass murderer criminal regime in Germany, plans to finance allocation of another 50,000 drones for the Kiev regime. That's the numbers, by the way, right? It's insane, man. It's insane what's going on. And of course, as I already said, Germany and all the other countries, by the way, will continue to send money to prolong this, to send money and the weapons to Kiev regime to prolong this war against Russian people until last Ukrainian, basically. And they are quite open about it, actually, that they would love to continue this war until there is anybody to be sacrificed, right? And they will, and to make sure that all Ukrainians or all citizens of Ukraine, or most of them, gonna die in this war. Decisions are being fast-tracked in Europe to send now back or to deny entry into Ukraine military age men from Ukraine, and not just men, but soon there will be some changes in legislation, and mobilization age or military age female will not be able also to either leave Ukraine or to receive some refugee status or something in Europe. Let me give you details on that. So citizens of this so-called Ukraine who do not receive a special exemption from mobilization will no longer be able to enter the EU. This also applies to women. The European Commission plans to announce the rule change in July, this month, by the way, and the new rules are expected to come into effect in March 2027, in about like half a year from now, approximately, right? So they're going to deny anybody and everybody, basically, from Q control territory to leave that area because they're going to die, man, fighting for a geopolitical agenda of the Western ruling class. And when it comes to citizens of Ukraine that already left and are in Europe, well, country after country after country in the European Union are preparing the ground while making some changes in their legislation to create circumstances which will let them or allow them mass deportations of military age male and probably female Ukrainians. And some countries are advanced, significantly advanced in this direction, and soon probably will launch mass deportations of military age Ukraine citizens. Others are a bit slow, right? But process is there. Process is there, and in this regard, we have today this report also from Poland that according to Polish Minister of Defense Władysław Koźniak-Kamysz, Ukrainian men of conscription age should that are living in Poland should return to Ukraine to join their ranks of armed forces. As I said, man, they are not even trying to hide that they would love to fight against Russia until last citizen of Ukraine. And they are quite literally open about it, right? They might use a different wording, but smysl один, right? Essence is the same. That they would love to sacrifice literally everybody in Ukraine, right? As long as there any harm can be done to Russia or to Russian people. And Poland is leading the charge, by the way. Poland is leading the charge. Polish leadership is forgetting that they have benefited tremendously with cheap labor that they were receiving, millions of them actually, from Ukraine. But now, when Polish elites are beginning to prepare ground for a possible reunification of Eastern Lesser Poland, let's say, with the mainland Poland, and Eastern Lesser Poland is about 70% of Western Ukraine, by the way. So now when this process is being launched in Warsaw, I guess Polish ruling class prioritizes that reunification better than economical benefits that Poland has as a result of this cheap Ukrainian labor that receives maybe about 30% of wage that Poles receive, right? Maybe 40. Someone might be lucky if they will get 50% of what Poles will get for same job, right? So I guess it's matter of maybe a couple of months, and we are about to see these mass deportations from European countries of Ukrainians, right? Of citizens of Ukraine of military age. So that then they will be forcefully mobilized and thrown into trenches to die there for geopolitical agenda of the Western ruling class. TASS news agency is also reporting that EU, meanwhile, failed allegedly to agree on 21st sanctions package in time for their meeting of the foreign ministers that's soon going to take place. So EU ambassadors failed to agree on 21st sanctions package in time for the EU foreign ministers. meeting in Brussels, EU Foreign Service Chief Kaja Kallas announced about it today. Work on 21st sanctions package is not finished. Kallas said there is no agreement yet, and we still have open questions. According to her, she explained that instead of 21st package, which implies new energy, banking, and export restrictions against Russia, EU foreign ministers will approve their blacklisting of 250 individuals engaged in various activities. They're going to impose sanctions on more Russian citizens, rather. She emphasized that this will be the largest block of international or intermediate personal restrictions. The European Commission had previously intended to adopt their 21st sanctions package at this ministerial meeting that's going to take place, I don't know, tomorrow or day after, these days, by the way. But London is not waiting for Brussels, right? London is not waiting for Brussels, and they actually went ahead and imposed additional sanctions on Russia already. And today media is reporting that London has expanded its anti-Russian sanctions list by 10 positions and added 14 new names to the list related to cybersecurity issues. You're going to be surprised to hear who they are sanctioning, man. United Kingdom has imposed sanctions on several Russians. It has designated as a GRU officers, accusing them of cyber operations against London. And unfortunately, I have doubts that Russian GRU was authorized by Russian President Putin to conduct any operations against British ruling class or Western ruling class generally. I really have doubts about it, man. Right? So do you believe, honestly, let's be honest, man, do you believe that Russian president, who already proved himself to be extremely loyal to his Western partners, do you think he will authorize either FSB or GRU or Russian Defense Ministry or anything else, by the way, to do anything, literally even a single step, to take a single step that might upset Western elites? You think Putin will do that? You think Putin will authorize that? No, man. No way, right? So this is all BS story, man. Total freaking nonsense. I wish Russian FSB, Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, Russian GRU, Russian militaries were obliterating, right, the United Kingdom's militaries and security services and ruling class. And I hope we were doing the same with Germany and with France and Italy and all the rest. I wish this was the case, but unfortunately this is not. That's where we are, man. But they have to come up with some nonsense, right? They have to continue this, they have to fuel this agenda, right, that they are pushing. So, they are literally making up stories every other week, every other month to come up with new sanctions and then new sanctions and then new sanctions. And what is also interesting? London went out a Rebar think tank. Rebar, isn't it? One of their analytical portals, by the way, here in Russia, military analytical center, think tank, right? On Telegram channel, they have a big community, quite popular, by the way, very popular actually. But these are civilians, man. These are guys, right? Mostly journalists that get together and are doing the project. With such an approach, London could sanction me, man, right, too. Because I'm doing the same, but in a smaller scale, right? Rebar is a big name. I'm a no-name. But nevertheless, we are working in the same field. So why would not London, next time around, would, come up in some sanctions against me too, man? That would be a privilege, right? Insanity, man. Total freaking insanity, right? Idiots. Just freaking idiots, man. And while all this happening, man, while Western ruling class is doing so much harm to Russia, to Russian Federation, Russian people, what is happening? Instead of retaliating on these NATO member states that are directly engaged in this war and in the death of thousands of our citizens, tens of thousands of our citizens, actually, and and destruction of a lot of enterprises, right, on tens of billions of dollars, with tens of billions of dollars of damage, possibly hundreds of billions of dollars of damage, while West is doing all this stuff, instead of sending missiles and drones and all sorts of everything that we have, right, to retaliate on these NATO member states, that would make sense. Instead of that, we are selling gas. We are sending them energy so that they will produce more weapons to kill more Russians. And yes, this, and you might ask, yes, but how, man? Why Russia continues to sell anything to these NATO countries? And well, dear friends, I think I already said, isn't it? There is no way, but Russian president is very loyal, right? If you did not know, then I'm telling you, Russian president is very loyal to his Western partners, very loyal. And there is no circumstances, literally, I think, which will force him to do anything that will upset his Western partners, right? They have a great relationships, decades-long relationships, right? And so, well, Europeans, they have some trouble, by the way, to fill up underground the gas storage facilities, right? They are behind the schedule big time to prepare for upcoming winter, which is going to be very, very cold, especially in Europe, I think. And well, they are asking for more LNG, more fuel, right? Despite all this sanctions talk and stuff, they still need LNG. They still need gas. And because they cannot receive gas through Nord Stream pipelines now, only Turk Stream is left. They will take whatever they can take from Turk Stream. But main route now is LNG, right? And they are buying a lot of LNG from Russia. And Moscow is selling a lot of LNG. I mean, Moscow will sell all of its LNG to make sure that Western partners of Russian president are happy, right? And let me give you details now on that. So Financial Times is reporting, this is a big name, right, in the Western propaganda. So Financial Times is reporting that EU countries have set a record for the purchasing LNG from Russia. How it sounds, man. It sounds crazy, isn't it? In the first half of the 2027, a record was set for the import of liquefied natural gas from the Russians' Yamal LNG plant. In the first half of 2026, Europe imported more liquefied natural gas from the Yamal LNG plant than ever before, absorbing virtually their entire production volume of this project in anticipation of an import ban. The volume of purchases reached 9.89 million tons, 18% more than in the same period last year. According to authors of their article, European buyers paid up to 6 billion euros for these supplies. These figures highlight the key role that Europe continues to play in maintaining the operation of Russia's flagship energy project in the fifth year of their war. And this is all article in Financial Times, right? And icing, by the way, on the cake is that biggest buyers of Russian LNG are, you guess, France, one of the leading countries in this war against Russia, a major enemy of the Russian Federation, as long as it's led by Russophobes, Russia haters. Nothing against French people, by the way, don't get me wrong. We are talking about state and ruling class in the state, not ordinary people, of course. But ruling class is operating under the name of the state, so it's a France. Belgium, another one, also extremely anti-Russian, by the way, directly involved in a lot of weapons supplies Turkey regime, including fighter jets, right? And Belgium also provides its own ground to produce weaponry that are then are used against Russian Federation, right? And the third one, on third place, is Spain when it comes to these purchases of Russian LNG, and Spain is also, of course, involved in this war against Russian Federation. Although scale is definitely less than France, Germany, Italy, UK, US. But nevertheless, Spain is also involved, unfortunately, by the way, but they are too involved. So that's what is happening, and that's the absurd world that we are living in. Absurd world, and you know what? Some cultists, Putin cultists. There is a cult of Putin right here in Russia, as it is a cult of Trump in US. There's some cultists that they're gonna justify anything that Putin does. By the way, right? Anything. For them, Putin is like a freaking god, man. And so, you know what they are saying? Well, to conduct the war, we need money, and therefore it is justified that we are selling weapons. We are selling energy to the West, even if they are then producing weapons to kill our people. I mean, I don't even know what to say on about such comments, man. Right? Unfortunately, they are devoted cluster of the people now here in Russia, these occultists, right? That can justify literally anything, and there is no moral boundaries that they would not cross, right? They are so, I saw it while reading the comments, by the way, right, on this matter. They are talking about death of thousands and thousands of our people that would be alive, right, if not weapons from the West, if not the Western involvement in this war. And they are talking about it as if it's nothing, which is crazy, man, right? Which is crazy, man. Those people are dangerous, man. Those people are sort of people that during their 1938, were writing this Danos. There was a bunch of people in Soviet Union, by the way, that were writing. They were rats, basically. They were rats, right? They were writing some shit about their neighbors to get their room or to get their home, right? Or if they did not like someone, they will write some shit about those people and will send into security services. And unfortunately, level of professionalism was not high enough in many cases. And these innocent people that did no wrong, by the way, end up in a gulags. And many died actually because of these freaking rats, man, right? And I think these cultists, people that are in those cults, by the way, cults, either in Russia or in America or in any other country, by the way, those people to me resemble those rats, man, right? That are capable of anything, any evil, right? To justify their sickening views and their sickening actions of whomever they are, considering to be their freaking god. Terrible, man. Terrible. Those are scary people, man. Capable of anything. I'm telling you. But yet again, that's the world, man. Absurd world that we are living in. I mean, I think this matrix is broken. I really do, man. This world is fucked up, man. Sorry for my French, but this world is effed up big time, right? And the reset is needed, clearly, right? Because humanity is moving towards a freaking end if nothing is changed, right? Humanity is destined to hell right now, it looks like, based on trajectory. A reset is needed. Question is who and how this gonna do this reset. But anyways, let's continue with some more news, dear friends. And Well, there is another scandal, sort of, in Ukraine, where also rats, by the way, are eating each other. Right? Rat elements are everywhere, right? In all societies. Of course, Ukraine is no exception, and the rats are eating each other there. And now we have these reports that Ukrainian ambassador to the US, Olga Stefanishina, is about to lose her position due to real estate scandal, which might be related to corruption and God knows what else. And probably it is related. So it is expected that Stefanishina will leave her poster in Washington as an investigation continues into the purchase of an apartment in Kiev by her family at the price that, according to investigators, was significantly lower than market value. In the fall of 2022, Stefanishina's mother, Nadezhda Kravets, purchased a three-room apartment of approximately 100 square meters in the Lvivska Ploshcha, Lvov Square, I guess, Lvivska Ploshcha, I guess that's how it is, Lvov Square. Probably this is some prestigious area in the Lvov Square residential complex for approximately $83,000. However, similar apartments from their developer were valued at $300,000. Truly, there is a big gap, right? Market value $300,000 plus actual purchase value like $83,000. What? Why seller was this kind? To the mother of current Ukrainian ambassador to the US, right? Question will rise. Anyways, the particular apartment is not listed in Stefanishina's declaration. Instead, another apartment belonging to her mother with an area of 74 meters square is listed, while in reality, her family does not own the apartment. Such an apartment that is listed in declaration, and all these officials have to have declaration, and they are writing some freaking fairy tale in those declarations, right? It's a fiction. It was reported that Yulia Sviridenko, who until yesterday served as a prime minister of Ukraine, might take their vacant position. So Zelensky, I reported yesterday, different. Zelensky fired Prime Minister Sviridenko, Yulia Sviridenko, and probably she will replace now this Stefanishina in Washington. Okay, but it looks like there is a Yanukiev regime, corrupt scumbags, right? All of them. There is no decent human being, even single one, in the leadership of the so-called Ukraine, right? In even single one. So there is a different class. Different criminal gangs, basically, that are running the show. Zelensky's clan is being most powerful, obviously, and I guess someone did not pay enough to Zelensky's clan. Someone just did not pay enough or missed the payment, and Zelensky's clan decided that they're gonna go for war now, and they're gonna eliminate some leading figures from that clan, including this ambassador in US, I guess, right? Дрова рубят, щепки летят. There is a say like that, isn't it? Either way, some rat wars escalating in Ukraine. That's all I want to say about this stuff, by the way. And of course, we have to talk about Middle East. There was another wave of escalation. Two-stage. This time around, it was a two-stage, tit-for-tat escalation between the sides. And let's talk about details, right? U.S. has completed another series of strike on Iran against Southern Iran was struck mostly, coastal line regions, and it was, as I said, it was a kind of double tap strike from American side, and Iran responded in kind. Iran responded in kind, by the way. Although, before I share with you what Iranians did, interesting reports are coming from US, from CNN, for example, that despite the relevant pause, right, in a high intensity conflict between US and Iran, one could think that Americans did manage to like level up their stockpiles somehow, right? But in reality, this is not the case, and the US still is in a heavy deficit, experiences heavy deficit of certain type of weapons, especially long range weapons, right? Let me give you details. Not just ground attack missiles, but also interceptor missiles. But let's go through details. US military stockpile of key missiles and interceptors remain at a critically low level even after the active phase of conflict with Iran has ended. According to CNN, the Pentagon has depleted significant portion of THAAD, Patriot, and Tomahawk arsenals. Replenishment could take from 2 to 5 years. And it's not just THAAD, Patriot, or Tomahawk, by the way. I mean, JSSMs. US basically has no more JSSMs, right? US basically almost have no ATACMS left. They do have some, right? But most is finished, gone. And it will take years. It will take years to reach the same levels in stockpiles, in stocks as Pentagon had before this war began, right? And that raises the question: then how US gonna fight next phase of the war with Iran, which is clearly inevitable, right? Give it another couple of months, and the late autumn or early winter, next phase of war gonna be launched, right? Which will include ground invasion. But before or simultaneously with the ground invasion, US will need a lot of long range weapons that they don't have, physically don't have. So what Western ruling class gonna do about it? And the answer is clear, isn't it? Answer is on the surface, really. You don't even have to dig in deeper. European NATO member states, Paolo. European NATO member states are gonna join this fight, and they can deploy, according to different reports, by the way, and they did little research on the matter, according to at least open sources. On paper, Europe is capable of deploying 5 to 8,000 more or less long range, 100 to 500, let's say. In some cases, even longer than that. Ranger missiles, 5 to 8,000 missiles, which is quite low, but that's on the paper. That's what they have on the paper. How many weapons they can actually deploy, it's anybody's guess, man. I'm not sure. British military is for example, know for sure how many actually deployable cruise missiles they have. On paper, they might have like 200-300 Storm Shadows, for example, but in reality, how many of those Storm Shadows gonna actually fly? 50, 100, 150, 170? No one knows. So therefore, Europeans gonna join, obviously. Europeans gonna join US in this war against Iran, as Israel will. But I'm not sure, man, that even with the Europeans, Western ruling class is going to be able to achieve its task in this Middle Eastern chapter of their strategy, which is to decimate Iran, collapse Iran, state institutions and their society itself, right, to cause ethnic violence on ethnic and sectarian lines, to provoke civil war. Basically, that's what they want. And then to spread this civil war throughout the region so that they will turn the Middle East into a freaking hell, right? And therefore, region will be cut off, especially energy sector of this region will be cut off from global economy for as long as possible. That's what they want in the Middle East, actually. That's what Western ruling class wants. Zionists have different agenda, but as of now they are allies, right? Because Zionists want destruction of Middle Eastern countries, and Western ruling class wants the same. So US is in trouble. Western ruling class is in trouble, and NATO member states basically, because when it comes to long-range weaponry, they don't really have cards. They just don't, right? Americans already stated that they conducted about like 12 to 18,000 strikes on Iran during the first phase of the war. These are missiles, by the way. They did not went for kinetic bombs, gravity bombs. They were using missiles mostly. Yes, they might deploy some JDAMs and stuff, right? Glide bombs here and there, but mostly they were relying on missiles because Iran denied airspace and continues to deny airspace. And neither US Air Force or Navy pilots, neither Israelis were able to fly freely, right, in Iranian airspace and go for gravity bombs full on. They could not do it. So you tell me now, dear friends, if US already used thousands and thousands, and together with Israel, thousands and thousands and thousands of missiles during the first phase of the war, and all they managed to do is that they made Iranian society to be even more united and strong, then what they gonna do during the next phase when they will have even less missiles, even together with Europeans, right? And when they will be forced to face Iranian troops on the ground because they're gonna go for invasion. They are effed up, man. They are effed up. They are moving into a trap, I think. And Iranians gonna teach them a lesson, man. Historical lesson, I will say, right? So we will see. We will see what's gonna happen. But yeah, that's how I read the situation. Also, of course, as I said, Americans struck Iran. Iranians retaliated, and retaliated big, man. Retaliated bigger. Yet another U.S. Drone was shut down. Yet another MQ-9. But when it comes to drones, by the way, if MQ-9 costs about 30 million, 35 million, if it's extremely advanced, maybe 40 million, I don't know. But it's around that range, right? 30, 35 million dollars each. Then, well, Iranians, as a result of retaliatory strikes on US assets, by the way, destroyed hangars in Jordan where MQ-4C Triton drones were based. And these ones, first and foremost, these ones are very few built. And US already lost at least one Triton, possibly two, but one is documented. US acknowledged, I believe, that they lost one. There are rumors that they lost two, actually. Each costs 240 million approximately dollars. And there are very few of them even built, especially compared to MQ-9s, right? Although US lost basically half of its MQ-9 fleets too. And there are satellite imagery, by the way, of destruction of hangars where US was keeping these MQ-4C Triton drones. And there's a high probability that at least another one or maybe another few of these Triton drones were decimated or destroyed by Iranians as a result of this retaliatory strike. So big deal there, isn't it? Overall, Iran targeted their US assets in five countries, by the way. Bahrain, Kuwait, UAE, Jordan, and Oman. US assets in these five countries. In Jordan, where those Triton drones were most likely destroyed in a hangar, also missile depot was struck, and destroyed them. Of course, difficult to say the scale of damage, but that's what reports suggest. Also, Iranians struck launch point of HIMARS missiles in Kuwait. Americans were targeting Iran with the HIMARS MLRS systems while launching ATACMS missiles. And you know, dear friends, ATACMS are launched from HIMARS, right? And there are different reports out there. Some suggest 2 HIMARS systems were destroyed. There are some reports that 3 HIMARS systems were destroyed. Some reports suggest 5 HIMARS systems were destroyed. Whatever the case, there are also reports that at least 3 US military personnel was killed as a result of this retaliatory strike in Kuwait on US launch site, basically, of these ATACMS missiles, right? SETCOM is not confirming any of it, anything. SETCOM is not even confirming that there was attacks on their launch point in Kuwait. And right now we can see aftermath of that attack. Something is clearly burning there, right? That's the place from where ATACMS were launched. So clearly something is burning there, right? So it is what it is, man. And there are reports that at least 3 US military personnel was killed also, but SETCOM denies any of it. And that's exactly the report, by the way, about elimination of these HIMARS. It's 5 HIMARS launchers which were being prepared to launch attacks on their sacred territory of the Islamic Republic of Iran, sustained damage as a result of launch of FAT 110 missiles during their early and surprise attack carried out by their missile and space units of the Revolutionary Guard, according to security sources in Iran. In addition, drone unit of Iranian army targeted their access routes and communication systems of their new base using ARS-2 drones. Okay. So Kuwait was hit hard, man. Kuwait, Bahrain, they were hit hard, of course. But Jordan too, man. Jordan was not hit so many times as now Iran does, even during their active phase of the war. But I guess Tehran made a decision that, you know what, because Americans evacuated many things from these GCC countries into Jordan, and let's go after those assets now in Jordan. Probably that was decision made in Tehran, and that's why we are seeing strikes on Jordan every time US escalates, every time. And so it was a significant retaliatory action from Iranian side, by the way. It's not like one-way stream that, you know, Americans just going around and bombing whatever they want. No. Iranians are retaliating and hard. And also we have a report, meanwhile, that Tehran has stated that they have no intention to allow IAEA inspectors access to nuclear facilities damaged by strikes from the US-Israeli aggression, as a result of US-Israeli aggression. And well, okay, that's also interesting. Iranians made it clear a few days ago that they are no longer have any intention even to talk with the American side about nuclear programs. So if that is the case, then of course it makes all the sense to tell IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, to get lost. Because it's a compromised organization anyways, right? Formally, it's a UN body. In reality, IAEA is an Israeli asset, a US asset, and British asset, right? That's all it is, man. So good on Tehran for keeping those Israeli, US, and British assets away from their nuclear sites and from Iran, by the way. Right? That's a wise decision, actually. Also, when it comes to Middle East, dear friends, we have a breaking news for this moment, which is that Saudi Arabia bombed airport in Sana'a. Sana'a International Airport was struck. Saudi aircraft reportedly carried out several airstrikes, and there is some damage, there is some smoke that is being seen from Sana International Airport, which is Yemen, obviously, by the way. This is Yemen, and the Yemeni Houthis or Ansar Allah movement already made a statement about this Saudi attack. I can read I can give you a quote, by the way, there. In a blatant and outrageous act of aggression, the Saudi enemy targeted Sana's international airport with a series of airstrikes, thereby ending their de-escalation phase and bearing the consequences of its aggression. We affirm that their aggression will not go unpunished and will not go unanswered. Ansar Allah movement stated, and there, by the way, I don't think they have to prove anything to anybody. They are well capable of standing up, standing stronger, and I don't know what the hell is going on in Riyadh, by the way. Why they are escalating with Yemen now? I mean, why they are escalating with Yemen? Do they really want this heat? Yemeni Houthis, I mean, Ansarullah movement can destroy whatever energy infrastructure is there in Saudi Arabia. Do they really want that? Um, am I back? My apologies, dear friends. Unfortunately, VPN died, and I had to restart, reboot whole thing there, and it started working again. So my apologies for this inconvenience, dear friends, sir. But as you know, both both platforms, YouTube and Rumble, are banned here in Russia, and I have to use VPN for a connection. And sometimes these VPNs do some tricks. Do some tricks. Update was almost finished, anyways. New segment, but it was upsetting, of course. It was unfortunate that this inconvenience occurred, right? And well, let me finalize then what I was saying. Saudi Arabia went after Ansarullah movement of Yemen, which is I think big mistake. I don't even know what they try to achieve there. Saudis and UAE, by the way, together with assistance of collective West, were bombing the hell out of Yemen for 9 years, and eventually they were forced to sign up for ceasefire, right? And if Riyadh thinks that this time around they're going to be more successful, then I mean, Saudi leadership is even more stupid than anybody thinks they are, right? They're not going to be able to succeed for sure. Maybe this is just one of some action on their behalf, but I'm not sure about. I don't know. Ansarullah movement for quite some time now was making statements that Saudis are escalating, Saudis are preparing for military hostility, and well, they went and bombed Sanaa International Airport. And by the way, during this bombing, some sources already are reporting that during this bombing, Ansarullah delegation was landing actually in an airport. They were on approach to land, and despite this bombing campaign, they did land safely. So maybe target of Saudis was that delegation. Could be case, I don't know. But this is breaking news, just happened, by the way, before I launched this live stream. So, of course, we will have some more information. Ansarullah probably will retaliate. And in my next updates, I will give you whatever is will be available, at least in Russian segment of internet on this matter, in Russian segment of media. And by the way, let me end the live stream now on this. There was a his internet is gone again, man. So there was a live fire exercises between Russian and Chinese Navy warships in Yellow Sea, maritime in terms of maritime interaction exercises. And well, this is good. This is good. Yet another Russian-Chinese military exercises are taking place. Militaries are communicating, getting to know each other well, and this is good, by the way, because we are neighbors, and we need a good understanding of each other. Our militaries need a good understanding of each other, security services, and leadership also needs to have a good understanding of each other, political class, right? So I will end there update on this news that China military cooperation is deepening. That's the right word, I guess. And well, that's about it. That's about it for a new segment for now. And now let me highlight, dear friends, there was some comments. There was some super chats on the Rumble. So if I may, I will react on that. I hope you find new segment itself informative and interesting. And if so, like the video if you can. Algorithm on both platforms, by the way, on YouTube and Rumble. Algorithms low when videos have those likes, and leave some commentary too, because this engagement might help to reach wider audience, for sure. And well, let me highlight now super chats. There was recommendations from Christopher, dear friends. And I will start with those recommendations about some interesting stuff on other channels. Thank you very much, Christopher, for helping out with this, for your support first and foremost, because all these your recommendations are coming from PayPal with the donations. So thank you very much for your donations, and also for recommendations, of course. And let me highlight, dear friends. This is the recommendations from Christopher, and there is also super chats, by the way, and premium gift subscriptions on Rumble, and I will get to that in a minute. So once again, thank you very much, Christopher, for recommendations, for $15 donation through PayPal with these recommendations. And Christopher is commenting, Levaner, here is the video you might want to look at. Iskander M destroys American Patriot near Kiev, hypersonic in action. This video can be found on the YouTube channel called Rix24. I heard first time this channel from you, Christopher. Christopher, thank you for letting us know. So Rix24, that's the channel, dear friends. If you are interested, you can check out that video. It only has 14K subs. 14K is not it's a lot, actually. It's not a very small channel. Also, Christopher is recommending, hello, Levaner, here is the video you might like to look at. Russian Special Forces soldier enter abandoned Ukrainian bunker, then find this. Something had happened there in that bunker, I guess. Video can be seen on YouTube channel called Murat San, and dear friends, you can see on your screens how these channels should be searched. First one is Rix24, then Murat San. Thank you again, Christopher. And there is a third commentary. Hello, Levan, please tell Stanislav Krapivnik about the following channels, because I don't think he knows about them. Murat San, Military Update, Military Tube, Today, Rui Military, RX24, and when I will have a conversation with Stanislav, I will definitely talk to him about channels. But I cannot tell you that I'm going to have a conversation with him anytime soon, because I only once spoke in person, not even in person, by the way, through internet, with Stanislav when I asked him for an interview. There was times when I was doing interviews. I have on my channel, by the way, on YouTube and on Rumble too. There is like 5, 6, 7 interviews around about that number with different experts. And last interview, I believe, before I stop doing these interviews, last interview was exactly with Stanislav Krapivnik. But if I resume making interviews, or if somehow, I don't know, man, I met him, of course I will let him know. Or maybe he is watching this program. I don't know, dear friends. I watch his programs. I watch many other programs, by the way, on internet, right? I'm subscribed to a lot of channels and watch on regular basis. So maybe he's watching now, and who knows? Or maybe he will watch later on this video, and uh, he will receive this information notification from you. Thank you very much, Christopher, once again for your donations and for your support to my channel and also to those channels, by the way, that you are highlighting there, that are publishing interesting videos. Thank you. And let me also, dear friends, highlight now like this. So there was a super chat from Scooby on Rumble, which says Russia is Russia is what? What that word even means? Huh? Really? I don't understand the meaning, but Scooby, that's Scooby's super chat there. Thank you very much, Scooby, for super chat there and supporter. А контекст какой? Я не догоняю. Tired? А что это значит? Stained. It's like stained. When something is stained, or anyways, sorry, dear friends, my English is not that good, right? So sometimes, I just don't understand some stuff, and I'm acknowledging when I don't understand. Also, there was 2 premium subscription gift cards from Viper on Rumble. Thank you very much, Viper, for your support. Also, there was a $10 donation from Maria on a Boosty. Thank you very much, Maria, for your donation on a Boosty, and also super chat from Scooby. Let me highlight, dear friends. Apparently, George Galloway is in Russia now. Scooby is commenting in his super chat. Thank you very much, Scooby, for sharing this information. I didn't know. I know Scott Ritter was here in Russia at least a few days ago. Maybe he still is in Russia, and could be George Galloway is here too. Maybe some conferences are happening, and Scott Ritter and George Galloway are invited guests. Well, might be the case, isn't it? Could be case. If my channels were a little better developed, if I was not as toxic as I am, in that case, maybe I would try to restore this interview segment, right? But right now I can't do it because I understand well that I'm a toxic, and therefore I don't think I'm in a position to do some interviews now. But it would be interesting to talk to both, man. George Galloway is a legendary British politician, absolutely legendary politician, by the way. I see him first and foremost as a politician, right? He was an MP for many years, right? And he's, of course, media personality, public figure, person that stands for his principles for a very long time, man. A very brave man. That's my personal take. That's how I see George Galloway, dear friends. Everybody might have different opinions, but that's how I see George Galloway, to be very principled, brave man, right? Great son of Scotland. He's Scottish, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken. And Scott Ritter is also a great U.S. citizen, by the way, great American, right? He's an American patriot, and he understands perfectly well that this confrontation between Russia U.S. undeclared war, basically, that U.S. is waging against Russia is in no way, shape, or form in interests of the American people. And Scott Ritter says so in literally every program that he participates or hints on that, right? So, and this is true. This is true, and he is a brave man too, by the way. I mean, no doubts, no doubts. Both George Galloway and Scott Ritter was harassed by their own governments, right? Actually, for their principal stance, and I believe George Galloway has made decision to flee UK. To flee UK. That's how bad the situation with the freedom of speech is in UK, by the way. There is no freedom of speech in UK. None whatsoever. If government does not like what you say, you are, you're gonna get harassed, or you're gonna be locked, or you're gonna be forced to flee, man. That's the state of UK nowadays, which is sad, man, truly. But and Scott Ritter was also harassed. He was targeted by FBI. His passport was taken at the time when he was planning, I believe, to fly to Russia to participate in some conference, right? So it's a mess, man. It's a mess what's going on in terms of freedom of speech in the West. And we are talking about countries that were pretending to be like a prime example of basic freedoms for the people, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and everything. And where those countries are now, when prominent public figures being harassed and suppressed for their principal stance. It's really sad, man. And dear friends, there was also two more super chats from Scooby on Rumble. Let me highlight this. Also. You see, right now, dear friends, I spotted this commentary from Jerry that SETCOM reports no military death, fake news. So SETCOM never confirmed nothing, Jerry. It maybe Iranian media is exaggerating. Maybe it's and I mentioned, isn't it? That's Iranian media's claim that there were casualties among U.S. militaries, and I mentioned that SETCOM did not confirm any of it. SETCOM is not confirming that HIMARS launch point was struck in Kuwait. SETCOM did not confirm nothing ever. I mean, very rarely they say something, right? And so I would not take a single word from SETCOM for face value. I mean, let's be real here, right? If you trust Pentagon, then I don't know what to even say, man. They constantly lie, right? Period. And as I said, two more super chats from Scooby. Thank you very much, Scooby, for your super chats and for your opinions that you are sharing with us. And Scooby is commenting, I think Russia has no choice but to dependent on China for tech. Does it concern you because of your big picture theory? Not. Of course, in some ways, Scooby. Of course, I would prefer Russia to be more relied on its own tech, right? And in terms of space, in terms of military stuff, Russia is very much dependent on its own tech, right? There is a deep ties between Russian military-industrial complex and Belarusian military-industrial complex, historically, obviously. But that's different. Russia and Belarus we have union states, so that's a whole different ballgame. When it comes to China, well, if Russia is, I believe, is leading in many ways when it comes to military technology, some military technology, let's say this way, some military technology, not all, but when it comes to hypersonic missiles, when it comes to ICBMs, when it comes to submarine technology, when it comes to space explorations, when it comes to miniaturization of nuclear reactors and many, many other things. Russia is way ahead of everybody. Everybody, right? There is no one even close, actually, right? But when it comes to some other technologies, especially like ones that been adopted in civilian life, China is ahead of the whole world, big time, long way. And you know what? Uh, I mean, Chinese are good, man, in many things, right? And why should not we learn from them, honestly? When it comes to some modern technology, why should not we cooperate with them, and why should not we uh, transfer some of their or adapt some of the Chinese technology into Russia? I don't see that to be threat necessarily, right? Um, Including in terms of my bigger uh, picture theory. That's interesting. Shortcut that you come up with, BBT. So that did not concern me much, really. Of course, everybody would prefer to be fully independent in all possible ways, but this is not realistic. And cooperation with China does not scares me, man. No, I don't want her dependent to be on an extreme level between the two countries, right? Because any extreme dependence, either Chinese dependence on the Russian um, energy sector or anything else, either Russian dependence on Chinese some technology, if it's on extreme level, that creates unnecessary frictions, unnecessary paranoia, let's say, right? And we all are paranoid, right? A bit. So extreme dependence is not good, but as long as cooperation is done in a healthy way, it all should be welcome, man. And you know, I don't really consider that to be a threat to Russia. Why should we consider it to be a threat? Really, China and Russia are not enemies. We are not enemies, right? Objectively speaking, we have no reason to be hostile towards each other. Not a single reason, literally, right? Some might say, well, there are some people in China that remember that some parts of Russia's Far East used to be China. Yes, sometime in the past there was only like bacteria on the planet, right? So what? So what now? Russia and China has finalized their border demarcation, demilitarization of their borderline. Subject is closed. Russia, actually, many people don't even know, but during this process of demarcation and of border, Russia gave up certain territories in Chinese favor, including island Damansky on Amur River, by the way. This is the island for which Soviet and Chinese troops actually fight each other. But it was Putin, I believe, who finalized during his presidency this demarcation of the border was finalized, and he made a decision that strategically good relationships with China is much better than continuous some tensions due to some borderlines, right? So uh, this Damansky Island and some other territories was given to China during this process, and I think strategically this was yet again, people might argue on that, but strategically probably this was a good decision, because now we in China, we don't really have reasons to be hostile towards each other. We might have a mistrust of each other, and probably there is certain level of paranoia in China in regards to Russia's leadership's connection with the West and Russian oligarchy's connection with the West. And I can see why some Chinese people, even in leadership, might be a bit concerned, right? And a bit paranoid. And we are also a bit paranoid, man, here in Russia, because China is a gigantic economical power, right? And we don't know how things gonna work out in 20, 30, 50 years from now. So, more cooperation, let me say this way, more cooperation between the two will actually ease our paranoia, right? And will give us better chances to understand each other more, right? And avoid any unnecessary tensions. That's what I will say. And Scooby is also commenting, I think Galloway moved there, self-imposed exile, he said. Oh, thank you very much, Scooby, for sharing. Galloway moved in Russia? Anne, did you hear anything about it? Oh, I just heard that Galloway moved to Russia. That's interesting. He welcome, by the way. I'm quite sure, he will feel good here in Russia, 100%. And no, Scooby is saying that he moved actually in Russia. I knew that he was moving out from UK, but where he was moving out, I didn't know. And Scooby is saying that he moved to Russia. At least for sustainable time, right? Not for a week or two, but for a long term. That's good information. Thank you very much for letting us know. And I read Boosty. Yes, from Maria, there was a $10 donation on Boosty. I read that. And there was two more donations, dear friends, from Scooby. Let me highlight these two. So Scooby is commenting, space, military, and nuclear sectors will be very dependent on chips and advanced software in the future. Russia isn't close there and likely won't be. No, Scooby, I have to disagree with you. When it comes to nuclear stuff, nuclear technology, Russia is way ahead of everybody. Russia is using its own everything. It's a full cycle. If you have a contract with Russian Rosatom to build a nuclear power station, you will get everything Russian. Everything that you will get there is going to be Russian, right? So we have a full cycle. If you have some preferences, of course, it all depends on negotiations. You might say that, you know what, I want this particular type of steel, for example, to be used from this particular country. And Rosatom might think about it and say, okay, if it's not against our safety, then we don't care. Let's do this. But point is that Rosatom can build from scratch nuclear power plant with everything, right? Everything. That includes all the necessary electronics, all the necessary software, and so on. Russia can do this and does this perfectly well. Rosatom is the #1 country in this world, right, when it comes to civilian nuclear power stations. So I don't think anyone is actually close, right? Yes, China is more advanced when it comes to chip production than Russia. Mass chip production, by the way. Let's make that clear too. When it comes to mass chip production, China is definitely far ahead of Russia, and they're almost on the same level as US companies, right, that are producing their chips also in China, by the way, in Taiwan, right? That's the difference. But yet again, there is as I said, man, there is certain directions in civilian technologies that we are lacking behind, and there would be useful if we will have a good level of cooperation with China. I just don't see how this is a threat. I have where is my phone? I have a Chinese phone, by the way, for how many years now? 4 years. Yes, I have a Chinese phone for 4 years. What is the name of my phone? Huh? Don't know. Дочь, что у меня за телефон? А я не знаю, я спрашиваю.
У нас iPhone.
Yes, so that's what I want to say, by the way. I have a Chinese phone, either Honor or Huawei, something like that, for the last 4 years, maybe more. And my wife and my kids, they have iPhones, right? And you know what? My Chinese phone does a great job. I'm quite happy with my phone, right? And if all of us would have Chinese phones, I don't think we will be like any lesser effective, let's say, right? So there is obviously civilian fields where adopting Chinese technology can be and will be very useful, by the way, for society. It will bring a competition in many areas where competition is needed, and there, I think it's all good. And Scooby is also commenting, so you going to learn Mandarin then. And I don't know about me, but my daughter is actually learning Mandarin. And that you might find it funny, Scooby, but my daughter is actually learning Mandarin in the university. So I mean, I will if my daughter will teach me something, I will. Why not, man? And you are touching a very important subject there, Scooby, isn't it? Due to Western domination, English language and expansion of the Western, also Western technological advancement, not just colonizations and stuff, but also technological advancement. Of course, English language become a dominant language in this world. There is several international languages. Russia is one of them, obviously, but most spoken language is English, right? And as Chinese technological advance will continue, and as China will become a bigger and bigger player on a global scale, and basically number one trade partner for majority of countries, right? Of course, influence of Chinese language and Chinese culture will also increase. That's inevitable. That's absolutely inevitable. And there are many more people. For 50 years from now, I guess, speakers of Mandarin outside of China will be, I don't know, 100 times more than it is now. It's inevitable. And I don't see this to be like, no, and so what? I mean, I speak English, right? It so happened that I speak English, right? I would love to speak French, but I don't. I would love to speak Italian, or Italian, right? That's how you say it. I don't. I would love to speak Spanish. I try actually to learn Spanish, man, but I'm not really that good at it, right? And I just never had enough time to devote to stuff, right? To learn the language properly. And I would love to know Mandarin too. I mean, that would be great, but unfortunately, it just it is difficult, man. It is difficult. So, but Dota is learning, and once she will finish university, hopefully she will be able to speak at least basic on more advanced than basic, right? You have to speak after university. You have to speak more advanced than basic. It's difficult, believe me. Of course, it's a different alphabet. It's not even alphabet, right? It's a different ways of writing. Everything is different, right? So it's a difficult stuff, but it's doable, by the way, and it's inevitable. So that's what I will say, Scooby. And there was also, dear friends, one super chat and donation through PayPal. Let me highlight that too. Thank you very much, Scooby, for interesting conversation there. And Let me highlight also there was a super chat and a donation through PayPal and also from Viper premium subscription gift card. Yes, and super chat. I copied all. So wayward husband, thank you very much for $5 donation and super chat on Rumble, and commentary from wayward husband is: how can Putin give away Russian lander without the approval of parliament? What power, if any, does parliament have to be check on Putin and his government? I guess you are commenting on the topic of the Mansky Islander on Amur River, and it was done by parliament too, obviously, right? When agreement was reached between China and the Russian Federation about demarcation of the border, of course, the parliament had to vote for this agreement, and president has had to agree to that too. So it was done by both institutions, presidential institution and parliament too. That's how it works. Whenever it comes to these fundamental decisions, it's not like Russian president says so and it's just done. No. It's entire process, right? We might not be democracy in a way that some people understand democracy in the West, because when I look at the Western countries, it's anything but democracy. It's a chaos. It's just a political theater, extremely corrupt political theater, and the chaos. That's how I see Western so-called democracies, and I definitely don't want anything similar to be here in Russia, right? So therefore, we have a different system bit. There is similarities, but there is differences also. And what is the democracy after all, right? Democracy originally it's a like power of people, right? When people have their say, their influence, and to be honest, there are people here in Russia, you might find it very strange to hear. But right now, I think people here in Russia probably will have more influence on policies of the government, no matter how strange that might sound, than people in the Western countries. Because in the Western countries, society is completely ignored. Literally. Just no one. It looks like, at least from outside, it does looks like literally nobody in the ruling class cares what people have to say. Right? Take a look at the Europe. Majority of people are not okay with the demolition of their own economy and their own way of life. But elites say, no, you don't be racist there. Don't be Nazi, don't be fascist. You have to accept whatever we say. If you disagree with us, you are ultra-right, radical, fascist, Nazi, and scumbag. That's the attitude, right? Which is crazy. They are calling now ultra-right extremists leftists, by the way, right? That's how absurd the situation is. That someone who has some leftist ideas is being called now ultra-right fascist because that leftist person might say, you know what, maybe we have to, deal with their social fabric a little bit more to ease the tensions, right? Because only so much this social fabric can withstand when it comes to this constantly increasing pressure due to massive influx of migrants, for example. I don't think having a conversation about some topic makes you freaking fascist straight away. But that's how things are in the West right now, isn't it? In Europe, for example, and people being banned to visit UK, for example. US citizens being banned to visit UK, for example, because government does not like opinions of those people. And of course, any government has the right to let in or not let in anybody they want. But when you have an open border and this, dozens or hundreds of boats on daily basis are bringing in God knows whom, God knows from where, and you kind of doing nothing to stop that, and same time you are imposing sanctions on, let's say, US citizens that being critical of not even UK, but of Israel, for example. And I'm talking about Cenk Uygur. For you're familiar, isn't it, with the Cenk Uygur? He was banned to visit England. His son of either his sister or brother is also being banned. What is the name? Hassan Piker. Yes, he was banned to visit England. There is also American lawyer, I believe, that was banned to visit UK, to enter UK territory because of there's some political stance. It's crazy. So here in Russia, I think we are better off, honestly, man. There is many things to work out, obviously, right? There is no ideal countries. We have to modernize many things here. But I think in terms of freedom of speech, in terms of actual influence on a political process, I think we are in a better position. Not ideal, obviously, right? But we are probably in a better position than European societies. It might sound, yet again, for Westerners, this might sound like strange, because they are used to think that Russia is a dictatorship, and if you say anything critical about government, you're going to be shot straight away, right in the head, and left there on the street, and shit like that. Sorry for my French. Western societies for decades and decades only hearing this stuff, that if you say anything critical of government, you are dead straight away, right? Or you're going to end up in a freaking gulag forever, for the rest of your life. And many Westerners actually think about Russia like that, no matter what Putin says, everybody is okay. Oh, yes, that's good, that's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, we're all happy. It's not like that, man, right? We can say whatever we want. We can be as critical as we want. And as long as we are genuine good citizens, by the way, as long as we are independent and not acting on behalf of some foreign powers, we are good to go, man. That's how it is. That's just how it is. So no, it was not just Putin that just said, we're gonna do this, and that's how it is. No, it was parliament involved, commissions from both sides. It was a decades-long process, this demarcation. It did not end in 1 year or 2 years. It was decades-long process, demarcation of the border between Russia and China. And I think strategically, decision to give up some certain territories for strategical stability with this great neighbor was a good decision, strategically correct, right decision. And the parliament made this decision, approved this decision, president approved this decision, and that's how it is, right? President is influential here. Let's make no mistake. Russia is a presidential republic, so president has a lot of powers, but not unlimited powers. Right? He still has to listen to other groups, for sure. He still has to listen. Also, there was a donation from Christopher. Thank you very much, Christopher, for another donation through PayPal. And Christopher is commenting, hello everyone. Here is a video you might to look at shocking leaked Ukrainian radio interceptor frontline crisis. Video can be seen on YouTube channel called Military Update. Thank you very much, Christopher, for sharing. I'm actually gonna check this video after the live stream, because it is always interesting when you are observing actual communication of the militaries, right? Then you might find out, or you might learn better that way about our overall situation. So let's see what they are talking about in that video. So thank you very much, Christopher, for sharing. And also Viper, thank you very much for another premium subscription gift card on Rumble, for another donation there. So thank you all, dear friends. Thank you all. Uh, and there was a super chat difference from Scooby. Oh, from Wayward Husband. Sorry, it's like green looking super chat, so I automatically thought it was from Scooby. So let me highlight these two. Thank you very much, Wayward Husband, for another super chat on Rumble and $2 donation, and comment from a member of our communities from Wayward Husband. You are 100% correct. In the West, specifically in the US, we have a for sale sign on our government. The rich can buy any politician with any campaign donation. Lindsey Graham was a prime example. And well, I mean, US is, of course, it's hard to disagree with you. US literally has a for sale sign up front of its government, because corruption is legalized, literally legalized, right? The only country where corruption is legal. You can go and bribe any senator, any congressman you want her. Or if you want her to go on a state level, you can bribe anybody there on the state level, right? In local legislation, and it will be called lobbyism, right? It's just lobbyism, man. Nothing to look there. So it's insane, of course. The whole world probably finds this to be very, very crazy, right? That system that US has adopted. So it is difficult to argue with your statement there, 100%. So thank you very much for sharing, Wayward Husband, for your super chat and for your support and attention. And dear friends, this is it. Oh, you see, I will react, if I may, on a comment from Scooby-Doo. Russian special plane went to Iran. What do you think about it? It's not just one Russian plane, by the way, but several Russian planes fly to Iran in past 12 to 24 hours. During this new wave of tit for tat exchanges between US and Iran, and well, one plane was a passenger plane, passenger plane that is used by government officials, if I understand correctly. But other two planes, I'm not sure was there passenger planes or cargo planes. So there is some speculations on the internet. I honestly don't know what to think of it. Maybe some Russian specialists went to Iran to help Iranians to defend themselves. Maybe evacuation is happening of some personnel. I don't know, but it's not just one, but three flights took place from Russia to Iran in past 12 to 24 hours during this crisis period. And probably some Russian specialists are going back to Iran to help them with some good stuff. I mean, this is my speculation. Obviously, I cannot know for sure, but three planes, it's quite a lot. And it was not just like ordinary Moscow Tehran passenger flight. No, it was a special boats, right? Special flights. So Nidish is adding, I think it's a nuclear team. Well, when it comes to Russian nuclear specialists, if you mean Bushehr nuclear power plant, then yesterday I reported, I believe, that 6 Russian specialists already returned to Bushehr power plant, and it well might be that more specialists being sent from Moscow. But in that case, why these planes landed around Tehran? Bushehr is far away from Tehran, on the other side of the country, and I think probably there was some other means to deploy specialists to Bushehr without unnecessary stops in middle, right? So it could be these are specialists, Russian specialists that were working on a Bushehr nuclear power plant that is built by Russia. But who knows? Maybe something else is going on. I still think, where is that flotilla? Remember, Nidish? I still think, where is that flotilla of number of cargo vessels that basically disappeared, right? Once that flotilla that was escorted by Russian warships and moved from Vladivostok, once they entered uh, Yellow Sea, right? They disappeared. Am I correct? No. Once they passed the Japan, that's when they disappeared. And there was no notice about this flotilla since then. And I was linking that flotilla with the possibility that Russia will remove Iran's enriched uranium. So that is also something to keep in mind. Possibility that Russia will actually take out enriched uranium. Although, Tehran at some point, according to media reports, stated that they are willing to transfer the enriched uranium to China. Oh, interesting. And also, Nidish is commenting, Levan, that flotilla, one of that ship delivered us S-400. Oh, good. That's great. That's great news, sir. Okay. S-400 is a great system, and India's air defense is much more capable now. But what about other vessels? Where are those other vessels gone? Right? So thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing this, that Russia delivered their S-400 to India. That's a good news there, for sure. So I don't know, free flights. There was a free flight, sir. I should highlight this information during the news segment, that free special flights took place from Russia to Iran during this wave of escalation. Thank you for highlighting the topic, Nidish. And we can only speculate who is on board, what's going on there, because it's difficult to know, actually. And dear friends, also, there was another super chat and a premium gift card from a member of our community on Rumble. If I may, I will highlight this too. So, and let me remind you, dear friends, if you like the program, today's program, please click that like button and leave some commentary. That might help her with the algorithm that loves more comments and more likes. And this is thank you very much, Atomic Ray, for premium subscription gift card and $5 donation. Что, Ань? And there was a from Viper also. Okay, and there was also from Viper premium subscription gift card. Viper, thank you very much again. And there is a Wayward Husband super chat, another one. Thank you very much, Wayward Husband, for another super chat and $2 donation. And comment is, if Putin wants to take some free shots at Trump, he can help Iran hit some of those US bases in the Middle East, or give Iran their means to target those bases. Trump is already targeting Russian citizens. And well, even though Russian president said that Iran did not ask her for help and Russia did not provide their assistance, many people here in Russia actually believes, myself included, that probably targeting data that Iranian militaries are receiving is coming from possibly both China and Russia. I think Russia is actually assisting Iran with intelligence, with the targeting data. Of course, scale is different. But I think I think Russia is helping Iran. And after all, every time Iranian officials are giving interviews, they always are very keen to highlight how grateful they are for Russia, for assistance, right? And if you remember, Abbas Araghchi, foreign minister of Iran, on several occasions, without going into details, but hinted hinted that Russia is helping Iran with by many ways. It was not just about political support or something, but by many ways. Uh, so, probably this is true. Probably Russia is helping Iran with intelligence, with some technologies, with some weapons potentially, right? As we should, because we are strategical partners. Iran helped Russia. Let's not forget that Iran helped Russia and stand with Russia when it comes to this Western proxy war that they are waging on us. And of course, Russia should stand with Iran. We are literally strategical partners. We have agreement in place. We may not be military allies because, according to reports, Iran refused to sign up for mutual protection pact. But nevertheless, we are strategical partners, which includes cooperation in security field also. And it's then up to interpretation what that cooperation in the security field means, right? It can mean anything. So I think obviously with authorization of Putin, but maybe even without. But Russia is standing with Iran because there is a due to this status of strategical partnership between the two countries. Of course, state institutions are obliged to cooperate now, right? They have to exchange information. They have to be in constant touch with each other regularly. And I don't think those institutions necessarily need additional authorizations from their leadership. Countries already are strategic partners, so I think certain things are done just automatically because we are partners, right? We are strategic partners. So you don't need every time you are taking some steps or green light from Kremlin or something. So when Putin says that Iran didn't ask and we did not provide no weapons or something, maybe he was honest on that because directly probably no one asked, and directly no one, Putin did not provide nothing, but institutions, they do work, and that is that. And also, dear friends, as I said, there was a premium subscription gift card from Viper also. So thank you very much, Viper, for premium subscription. Another premium subscription gift card on Rumble. Thank you. Oh, that's interesting. There is a super chat from Scooby, dear friends. Thank you very much, Scooby, for your super chat. And Scooby is commenting Intel Roundtable, Russian version, Levan, Galloway, and the Ritter. Get it done, Levan. Well, conversation with both would be so interesting, and I think our community will also find it interesting and informative. But unfortunately, this is not happening. Unfortunately, this is not happening. I am too small when it comes to this field, by the way. So, maybe interview one day. Maybe if I resume making interviews, maybe I'll be able to do interview with Borf and many others. That will be cool too. So thank you, Scooby, for sharing and for your attention and support. And also on the topic of air defenses, dear friends, Nidish is commenting, Levan, Russians are offering S-500 joint venture in production to us. This is a new news update here. No specifications yet, and that's a big deal, isn't it, Nidish? S-500 joint production. S-500 is the most advanced Russian air defense system, which is basically almost completely classified. All we know is very little about this system, and even then, from open sources that can be challenged. Right? According to some reports, S-500 is well capable of intercepting literally everything, from subsonic to hypersonic weapons, and not just in atmosphere, but even out there in a lower orbit of our planet. So it's something extraordinary, this S-500 system. And the reports are that S-600 is being in developments, right? And soon might be announced. And if Russia is advancing this idea, or proposing this idea to Indian side to produce S-500 jointly, that's a tremendous step forward, I think, right? In terms of military-industrial cooperation between two countries, because you can imagine how much classified information and technology India gonna get if there is a combined production of these systems in India. It's gonna be like El Dorado, by the way, for India, right? In terms of developing this ultra sensitive equipment that is needed for advanced air defense systems, advanced radars, and so on. It's going to be a great deal for India. It depends now what Russia wants in return, right? Because this is, of course, will be favor for India if Russia will transfer technology. But what will Russia ask in favor? India to buy Su-57s, maybe, like 100 of those, and then joint production in India also, maybe something else. But I think this S-500 offer probably is a part of a bigger deal that maybe sides are working on, possibly. Because I mean, telling you, S-500 is basically everything is classified. So India gonna get a lot of technologies there that they might not necessarily have right now. So that's a big step, obviously, forward. And once again, information that highlights how close the cooperation between military-industrial complex and the leadership of two countries is when it comes to Russia and India, which is great, of course. And also, on this commenting on, we are about to start our BMD, ballistic missile defense phase 3. It's right on their time. And well, that's a good news too. That's a good news too. India, I know India tested their medium-range ballistic missiles, some 3 months, 4 or 5 months ago. I remember the reports about it. And about months ago, Pakistan did the same, isn't it? They tested also a medium-range ballistic missile. So there is this race also between India and Pakistan there when it comes to these weapon systems. Either way, S-500. I mean, S-500 would be something extraordinary, of course, especially combined production, so India can buy as many as they want, right? Because they will produce it right there. So first 10 batches of this, first the 10 batteries of S-500 can be delivered to all over the India, right? To cover literally whole country. Maybe they would not need more. That's how powerful these systems are, man. Anyways, dear friends, that's I guess about it. There is also another super chat There's another super chat literally right now, dear friends. Let me highlight this one too. Just a second, dear friends. Just a sec. So, Wayward Husband, thank you very much for another super chat and $2 donation. And Wayward Husband is commenting, what does Putin or his government think about Erdogan supposedly selling or giving away his S-400 system in order to get F-35 jets from Trump? I don't know if it's true, but that was on the news. And yeah, it is true. It is true that Turkey is actually in talks with, either UAE or Qatar or both, possibly Middle Eastern entities to transfer S-400. And this is a part of agreement with the US so that they will rejoin F-35 program. They will receive F-35s. And Peskov, press spokesman of the Russian president, confirmed actually that Turkey was in touch with Moscow too on this matter, because obviously Turkey cannot sell or give S-400, Russian-made S-400 to anybody without Moscow's consent. So they had to ask Moscow. Peskov confirmed that there was a contact between Ankara and Moscow on this subject. And if Turkey will deliver S-400 to Qatar, I don't think Iran will have much of an issue with that. And therefore, Moscow probably will greenlight this transfer. UAE is a bit more difficult. Russia has good relationships with the UAE, but good working relationships, but Iran does not. UAE is actually one of the most hostile entities out there in the region in regards to Iran. And Tehran might say to Moscow that, of course, it's your business what you're going to greenlight or not. But you see, we and UAE, we are not best friends now, right? And, transfer of this S-400 to Abu Dhabi might not help our relationships. And, Moscow might actually refuse to authorize Turkey to transfer S-400 to UAE. Qatar, no issues, I think, because Iran actually has quite good relationships with them. UAE, it's an issue. Maybe Moscow will negotiate with Iran, right? After all, S-400 is a defensive system, air defense system. So maybe Moscow will negotiate with Iran, and they will come up with some coming ground on the matter. But if Iran will say, no, choose, right? Either we are strategic partners or you are with UAE, then in that case, if Iran will take very strict principal position on that, then I think Moscow will block transfer of S-400 to UAE. And without Russia's concern, S-400 cannot be moved anywhere from Turkey. Everybody knows this. Everyone knows that. So therefore, I think Qatar will receive S-400 because Turkey's aerospace industry looks like is very keen to get its hands on certain technologies that F-35s might offer. Of course, export modifications of this F-35 are downgraded versions, but still they can give Turkish aerospace industry certain technologies. I don't think Turkey cares about planes themselves, because F-35 as a platform it's called FATEMI for a reason, right? It's a disgusting looking over-engineered flying garbage. Really, that's what it is. And there is a reason why at any given point, if you are lucky, you might have 25-30% of F-35 fleet ready for combat missions. it's so over-engineered, it's so bad that at any given point, if you have fleet of F-35s, you're going to be extremely lucky if 25, 30% of those planes will be operational. It's nonsense, it's garbage, right? But there is a lot of technologies. It's a Lockheed Martin that produces those planes, isn't it? And not just Lockheed Martin, but all US or Western industrial companies, military industrial companies, they over-engineer stuff so that they will make money on sale, and then they will make even more money on servicing these over-engineered weapon systems, because something always goes wrong with this over-engineered stuff, right? And that's the system. That's how they work for decades and decades and decades now, right? But nevertheless, I think Turkish aerospace industry still thinks they're going to get some technology that they lack right now while working on their own domestically built fifth gen fighter jet. Han, that's the name of Turkish fifth gen fighter jet, and probably giving their, how how consistent Ankara was in regards to getting these F-35s. Probably they will give up S-400 for Qatar. They will sell it. They're not going to give it as a gift, by the way. This S-400 probably cost $1 billion plus, maybe $2 billion. I don't know. It's an extremely expensive system, so no one going to give it as a gift to nobody, of course. But Turkey will get its hands on F-35s, and we will see what Turkish aerospace industry gonna reverse engineer then from that plane. And it is also true that Turkish aerospace industry is a quite capable one. I mean, they prove themselves to be quite capable in reverse engineering certain stuff and certain complicated stuff, and also domestically engineering and domestically building quite advanced aircrafts, manned and unmanned. So they're well capable. That's true. Thank you very much once again for sharing and for your support, and dear friends. Also, let me highlight that there was a donation through PayPal, dear friends, and also super chatter. So Christopher, thank you very much for another donation on PayPal. And Christopher is commenting, hello Levan, here is their subs for first RX 24. It's 8K subs, 15K on subs on military tube. Today, 134,000 subs on RUI military. Military tube today is 134,000 subs. RUI military, 57,000 subs. Murat Sun is 273,000 subs. This is a big channels you are talking about. This is a massive channels. Dear friends, Christopher is recommending some interesting videos that he comes across on different channels. And if you are also interested in the videos from battlefields and about some operations, military stuff, military equipment, that's what Christopher is helping us with. And thank you very much, Christopher, for letting us know about subs of this channel. They are big, man. I mean, with the exception of two, all the other channels are bigger than mine. Much bigger than mine, right? Significantly bigger than mine. So thank you very much, Christopher, for sharing. And also there is another super chat from Wayward's husband. Thank you very much again, Wayward. And comment is I would not trust any of those Middle Eastern countries. They are all brought and paid by the US. This is Russian technology. How can Putin be so chill about this? Well, he agreed to sell S-400 to Turkey, and Turkey is a NATO member state. So now, I mean, if Americans or Brits or other NATO member states wanted their hands on S-400, probably they already try and learn whatever they were able to. And at this point, technically speaking, it does not really matter if this system would be transferred to either UAE or Qatar, because let's not forget Turkey is a NATO member state and has obligations to NATO member states, and I'm quite sure whatever Turks know about S-400, Washington also knows, London also knows. Maybe Turks did not share nothing with the Greeks, could be case, but Athens would get its hands on capabilities of S-400 from Americans or the Brits. So at this point, whatever could be learned about S-400 probably already been learned by NATO member states. I don't think that will be the much of a worry of a Russian side. How they sold their Turkey S-400 in the first place, that's a whole different story, right? I was surprised. I was really surprised to hear this, because what the hell, man? This is one of the most advanced air defense systems in the world, Russian technology, and why we sell it to Turkey, I don't know. But now it's just too late for protecting any secrets about this system. If Westerners were able to learn something about it, they probably already done this. It does not mean, by the way, that they're going to be able to counter S-400, because there are many systems that are extremely difficult to understand, extremely difficult to decode, right? Or to reverse engineer. And I don't think, and therefore always they're going to be always certain things in regards to Russian weapon systems that are never going to be replicated, no matter how hard they will try. I mean, Chinese to nowadays are struggling reverse engineer Russian engines for their fighter jets, right? They are working on this for decades. And China is an extremely advanced country, technology-wise, right? They still are struggling with their fighter jet engines, surprisingly, right? But it's extremely, extremely complex stuff that only few countries in this world are able to do domestically. One is being Russia. To nowadays, advanced Chinese planes, many advanced Chinese planes are flying on Russian engines. And the engines that China reverse engineered are like twice weaker. Like J-20s and the launch first many batch of J-20 stealth fighter jets that China launched. All of them were flying on Russian engines. Many people don't even know about it, but first generation of J-20s were flying on Russian engines. Probably they do to nowadays fly on Russian engines. Then Chinese over-engineered not over-engineered, but managed to reverse engineer Russian engines in such a scale that they are almost there, almost on the same level. And they began adopting these reverse engineered engines. But they are not as good as Russian or American engines still. Although given their technological advance of China, it's only a matter of maybe another 5 years, and they will build engines that probably will be more advanced than Russian and Chinese, Russian and American engines now. because technology does not stand on one place, isn't it? It constantly develops. So that's what I think on this matter, dear friends. Thank you all. Thank you all for your attention and support. We had a good conversation after the new segment, isn't it? Many thanks to everybody for super chats, for premium subscription gift cards, for donations, including from Boosted, dear friends. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day, dear friends, and take care. Bye for now.